from fellow believers. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
One Budget Airlines expansion plans are primed for takeoff.
Air Asia is ordering 150 Airbus A220-300 jets valued at roughly $19 billion. This is the largest single order ever placed for the A220 planes. AirAsia says the aircraft's fuel efficiency and lower emissions are crucial for coping with high fuel prices and are a key part of its expansion plans. The jets can carry up to 160 passengers and can help to open smaller markets. Rich Thomason reporting.
President Trump says goods from the European Union will face higher tariff rates if the 27-member bloc fails to approve last year's trade framework by July 4th. Trump's announcement appears to be a deadline extension after the president said that EU autos would face a higher 25% tariff starting this week. News and analysis at townhall.com. U.S. jobless claim application.
This program is brought to you in part by Ability Tree Experts. Ability Tree Experts, Houston's leading tree care professionals.
Call 281-441-4179.
Dan Patrick for my friend Louis Flory and Ability Tree Experts.
Spring is here and summer just around the corner, which means it's time to deep root fertilize your trees in addition to spraying for insects and disease. Let Ability Trees help maintain their value and repair all damage. Fed and prune tree will be less susceptible to wind damage and uprooting. Caring for the beautiful and valuable trees on your property that you can't replace should be done by experts. And the experts I use, it's very clear. It's Ability Tree Experts and Louis Flory, my friend
For over 40 years.
Gosh, this guy is the pro when it comes to taking care of trees. You know, pruning is important for the health of your trees, and pruning limits resistance to spring storms and allows the sun and fresh air into the canopy. Trees can be in distress several months without showing any signs, so don't wait to protect your investment at 281-441-4179, 281-441-4179, or visit their website at abilitytrees.com. Right now, Ability Trees is giving a deep root feeding with every tree pruned. Ability Trees, Houston's leading tree care professional.
This is Kevin O'Hara with O'Hara & Company Real Estate in O'Hara Homes. Davy Crockett addressed the Tennessee Congress after losing his bid for a seat. You may all go to hell, I'm going to Texas. Apparently a lot of other people from other states are feeling the same way lately. We have people coming to Texas from every state in the union. I think they are looking for a state with more conservative views. The word Texas comes from the Caddo Native American language, which means friends or allies. Texans are some of the friendliest people on the planet. If you're moving from another state, Texans will treat you well. If you're fleeing from a liberal state, leave those views there. If you're looking to buy or sell real estate, give O'Hara & Company Real Estate a call at 281-373-3393. Again, that's 281-373-3393, or look us up on the web at o'harare.com. If you need any type of construction work done, call O'Hara Homes at the same number, 281-373-3393. Davy Crockett ended up being an historical figure in Texas history and embodied the Texas spirit. God bless America and God bless Texas.
Where should I begin?
Can we talk about this?
Say, what are you trying to say?
Beyond the usual controversial talk.
Blah, 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 on and on and on. Over there. No.
1, 2, cha-cha-cha. 1, 2, cha-cha-cha.
Prepare yourself for Craig.
Okay.
Preparing a mighty new spectacle here.
Articulate, stimulating, hit you right in the... there you go.
We start becoming a team right now.
This is the Craig Collins Show.
Lord Jesus, oh God, no.
Start talking. Talk fast.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Now your host.
He's a good man.
Craig.
That's right. It is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas, all over the place on social media, at Radio Craig C, on X, on Twitter, if that's what you still call it, and then also at Radio Craig C on Facebook, even though I actually don't live stream there until Friday. That's the only day in which we do a live stream for the show. Lots and lots of things to talk about. I feel like I say that all the time, but it feels as though it is uniquely true today. There are some pretty big breaking news stories out there. There are some pretty big, is the way I should say it, breaking news stories out there. The way to set the table on this first one is to play audio of President Trump, or at least I think this is a Fox News report talking about something Trump was saying, or maybe even putting up on Truth Social, and then jump from that to the other thing that's very relevant, which is what happened a few hours ago today, Iran being provocative toward the United States. Here's the first piece of audio. This is, as I said, and I think it's pretty interesting, a announcement a few hours before Iran attacks the U.S. in some capacity in waterways in Iran. They didn't attack our country here, of course. But here, let's just play this audio first, and then we'll get to it from there. And if we get this to actually play, there
Fox
it is.
News alert here. We are waiting President Trump. He is set to speak any moment now from the White House. We will see if he makes any new comments on the breaking news on Iran after his bilateral meeting with Brazil's president. All of this as the Wall Street Journal is now running a new headline and reporting that President Trump could restart Project Freedom to escort ships through the Strait of Hormuz as soon as this week.
Yeah, so essentially this report means that if Iran wants to mess with us, we're going to mess back. And we're going to mess back quite significantly. Maybe you leave us alone. Iran didn't go that road. They chose a very different option. Here is a breaking news story from CNN and something that did happen today.
In our world lead, the United States is reporting that the U.S. has carried out new strikes against Iran. Let's go right to CNN's Nick Robertson, who's in Islamabad, Pakistan. And Nick, we just got a new statement from CENTCOM, U.S. Central Command. What can you tell us?
Yeah, about 3 hours ago, Jake, there were reports of explosions around Qasem Island, which is near Bandar Abbas, which is right at that sort of bend in the Strait of Hormuz, right where it constricts a very narrow point. The Iranian reports were reporting there were explosions, there was fire. They said they were repelling what they described as enemy attacks. What we understand now from CENTCOM appears to be a much clearer picture of what was going on, that there were 3 guided missile destroyers from the U.S. Navy that were transiting the Strait of Hormuz, going into the Gulf, it appears, transiting the Strait of Hormuz when they came under attack from Iranian missiles. And what has followed on from there is a defensive measures. That's how CENTCOM describes it, defensive measures firing back at the Iranian military facilities from which those ships were targeted upon. It includes drone launch sites, missile launch sites, communication nodes, intelligence nodes. So this appears to have been a situation that the United States Navy was moving through the Strait of Hormuz as it had said that it would do, that it was going to have and keep.
He's taking a long time to get to the point in some of that there, but you heard the basic gist of the breakdown. The United States was doing what it said it would do. Iran didn't like what the U.S. was doing. Iran decided to attack us. That's not a smart move. That's not a good thing, and it will end poorly for them. No matter how defiant they stay, no matter how much Iran keeps seeming to think that they can do whatever they want and that there won't be something to pay for it, which makes absolutely no sense to me. There is audio of the president from earlier today. This is before this happened, before the exchange of fire and whatnot, when President Trump was talking about how well things are going for the United States. And I thought this was pretty interesting. There's also a joke. You know what? I'll do this first. Let's do this first. He's joking about how X keeps spelling his wife's name to not be his wife's name, and it annoys him. And apparently some people have said that or they've made fun of him for misspelling Melania. But let's do this. This is a nice let's talk about all the crazy things going on. And to be fair, President Trump's audio from earlier today did not include his knowledge of an Iranian attack on U.S. military. But here we go.
And, I love the name Melody because for a long time, they have spell correct and word correct on these crazy machines that we use to put out truths, or they used to be called tweets. And every time I wrote Melania, it would correct to Melody. So I do things, and I work very fast. Blah, 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 and I talk about it and I say, and Melania is fantastic, and happy Mother's Day, Melania, our great First Lady Melania, but it would spell correct and word correct to Melody.
Not the same person.
Sometimes I wouldn't proofread it, and I'd say, and I would get just absolute decimated. These people would decimate.
I love that he pointed at the press, by the way, as he was saying, these people right here would decimate me. They'd pretend my brain didn't work, like Biden's brain didn't work, et cetera, because of a autocorrect that was happening on X that I don't know why it kept happening, especially as I kept writing the same name over and over again. All right, that was a teaser. That's something else that Trump said and talked about today. And now let's actually play the stuff about the blockade, which President Trump said was going well, and even the idea of reopening the Strait of Hormuz by escorting ships through it, something the U.S. is intent to still do, regardless of what Iran tries to do to us.
We're dealing with people that want to make a deal very much, and we'll see whether or not they can make a deal that's satisfactory to us. We have it very much under control. The blockade is unbelievable. The Navy's been incredible. The job they did, it's like a wall of steel. Nobody goes through. In particular, the Iranians, they're not getting anything through one way or the other, so they're out of business. And we'll see whether or not they are agreeing. And if they don't agree, they'll end up agreeing shortly thereafter.
Well, our new people will agree. If these ones don't agree, we'll do what we did before, and eventually there might be new people who would have to weigh in on all of this stuff. Now, granted, any sort of back and forth fighting between the U.S. and Iran, it'll always end poorly for Iran. Most people, I think, outside of the leadership in Iran understand that. And if the U.S. strikes Iranian missile sites in retaliation for attacks on U.S. destroyers, we're in a place where inevitably we win. And to be honest, the only way we don't, I do want to say this before I move on to another topic, the only way that the U.S. doesn't demonstrate the significance of force difference between us and Iran is if somehow, some way, and I don't believe this would happen, U.S. media convinces Trump not to do something. Because that's the whole game right now. They attack Trump and whatever he says, whatever his ideas are, whatever he puts up on social media, to the extent that eventually if we stand down, I don't think Trump does it for this reason. I don't think the president really cares what media says. But if we do stand down and media gets what they want, it makes us weaker. And it causes Iran to be arrogant enough to think, hey, if we push hard enough, maybe there will be some sort of political controversy, political fallout that makes the things we do not things that can be retaliated against, which, again, is dangerous to us as a country. This is why people say Democrats seem to be cheering for the other side. They don't seem to be cheering for the United States. They want the success of whoever it is we're fighting, whatever the terrorist group is that's fighting somebody in the world, Hamas fighting Israel or Iran fighting us, doesn't matter. The calls for success for those people and failure for us are so uniquely strange, so horrifically bad, and yet so obvious. They happen so much. All right, I want to play something else. I thought this was a really interesting back and forth on Fox where a Democratic politician was complaining about the changing of some rules that might not allow Democrats to gerrymander districts where voters would all be minorities, regardless of what the actual makeup is of a certain area. Democrats did this quite a bit in a lot of states, including Illinois, where I used to live. And you just have these ridiculous, crazy squiggly line versions of districts just so you can get enough people in that Democrats think will vote for them based solely on race, even if it's the reverse version of what people were claiming was happening at some point in our society. The current version, still racism. At least that's what the Supreme Court said. As I said, a Democrat on Fox, a Democratic spokesperson, was saying how terrible this is, and I love the response that was given to them on this topic.
I think it's almost poetic how 20 seconds ago we were discounting the role that Black Americans played in creating the inclusive democracy that we've had in recent decades.
No.
And now we're looking.
That's not what AOC said.
And now
she did not talk about the inclusive role that Black Americans play in creating democracy.
But we were talking.
The words were Black Americans created democracy.
I have that audio too.
And we discounted that statement, and now here we are seeing a Black man in Tennessee fight to keep the only Black district that they have there being totally erased off the map. And I just think, there needs to be more, those conversations need to be tied together.
There's no such thing as a Black district
yes!
or a white district. It's
yes!
an American district.
Right.
People.
But by the way, that's a Black woman who happens to be a Republican who is saying that on Fox News. There's no such thing as a Black district. There's no such thing as any other sort of minority or majority or whatever you want to call it district. There's just people who live in this country and actually, hopefully, legally are voting in this country and legally living here because as you heard on Chris X's show with the interview he did with a great guest, there's a lot of people who find avenues to vote illegally, even though the states that they're in say it's legal. It doesn't make any sense because they're not here as citizens. They shouldn't be voting in elections. That's a thing. We need to make sure that it is followed. That law, that rule is actually something that people use throughout the entirety of the country, and yet they don't. But I just thought that was really interesting, that there is no such thing as a black district, a Hispanic district, a whatever district. They're just Americans. And it's crazy that that is the argument on a certain side, the right, and yet they're called racist. It's insane to me. I actually had producer Jack, who was here earlier, joking with me about how terrible it is to be a conservative because we are, in fact, the racists, the sexists, the everythingists in society. And yet the thing that we're calling for usually, and at least in this story, is to not care what the race of someone is. Just let people vote in certain areas. Just do boxes where people have conversations. Now, by the way, I guess I'll tell this story now, too, or talk about this a little bit now, too, and then we'll get back to some audio. You've probably heard by now the story about the guy who was an attempted carjacking occurred. So someone who was here illegally from Mexico tried to steal the vehicle of someone else. That person, a black man, had his entire family, including a baby, inside the car. As the person is trying to carjack the vehicle and rip out the guy who was in the driver's side seat of the car, he goes around to the passenger side. Most of his family gets out of the car, and the black Texas man opens fire. And he killed the guy trying to steal his car and essentially kidnapped at least a couple of his children who were still in the vehicle when that was happening. There have been a lot of conversations about this, and I've seen a lot of things on social media and right and wrong and all of that. And it's actually very easy to suss this out to me. We live in a state, a unique state, in which you are absolutely capable of defending yourself, defending your property, defending your family, and you are able to do that with a gun. You are able to do that with force. That is totally within the laws that exist within the state of Texas, and I think it's good that we have that ability to do that. This has caused people in other places to be irate at the idea that Texas cares about your Second Amendment rights more than most places do. I remember this, a type of conversation, when a story like this would occur in a place like Texas or Florida, and I was living in a state where I would get in a whole lot of trouble if I did the same thing. If I had done this when I was living in Illinois, I'm definitely arrested. I'm likely in a lot of legal trouble, and there's a lot of politicians out there saying how horrible and terrible of a person I am, regardless of if I'm a white guy or, in this case, it's a minority, a black man that actually protected his family this way. And it's surreal to actually be here now and listen to this conversation, the way it goes and the tentacles it has, because what would you have done is the question I usually would ask people whenever I lived in a crazy or far left place. If your baby is in the backseat of a car and some stranger who had tried to carjack other vehicles, I don't care what they look like, but if there's some person that comes up to me, tries to remove me from my car, and then after they try to remove me from my car, they go even further. They say even more things about, what they're doing, and I have children in the car. What do I do? I protect them. I protect my wife. I protect anybody in the vehicle. The only reason that I think there's a debate on this talking point or this discussion is because there's race, there's someone who's illegally here in the country. There's all these components that make people think there's a larger political discussion, a larger philosophical even, a debate as to what right and wrong is. And what's crazy about this, and I kind of hate whataboutisms, but I'm going to use one here. What's truly insane to me about this idea is that if it's just a bunch of white people, none of those people who are mad right now care. If a white man tries to carjack another white guy's car, and if his family's in the car, even not, I assume, it's barely a news story anywhere. And it shouldn't be that. It shouldn't be that this race here or that race there or this, portion of this conversation makes it more debatable. If you care at all about the lives of people, regardless of what they look like, then you should be just as mad in one story as you are in another one. But that's, of course, not the case. And the reason that this really matters to me, and the thing that I think is most important about this, is how politicians weaponize these sort of stories to convince you how terrible and awful the side of the aisle that you're not on is. This is what they do constantly. This is the version of when Biden's in office and he won't go to one tragedy because there's an oil spill and or a train crash, and everybody who lives there is a Trump supporter. So Biden doesn't want to go. He doesn't like the optics of that, so he skips it. And people ask him for a few months and then get over it why he's not going to this tragedy. But then if a tragedy happens in an area where a politician thinks he has a tremendous amount of support, he runs to that one. He hops on Air Force One or whatever a politician it is, a regular plane, and gets to this thing as soon as possible because they care so little about people that even those tragedies are political opportunities. As Rahm Emanuel or others have said, that's all they truly think about and care about, and how you use it against the side you're fighting and trying to defeat in an election, or how you use it to prop up your side to, you think, get more people to vote for you. And that's truly disgusting because I also think, last thing I'll say about this topic, is that most of these people who have these really strong opinions, if they were put in the same situation, they would do something similar. They would do whatever they could to defend their family, to defend a child, an infant, that's inside a vehicle that's about to be stolen. It doesn't matter what people look like, who people are. And I know, of course, I'm not trying to dismiss, by the way. I want to be extra clear about this because some people might be hearing it this way. I'm not trying to dismiss the importance of having a political discussion about someone who's here illegally that did something bad. That is, again, a thing that's a necessity because of how often the left tries to pretend it doesn't exist. They want to pretend these stories don't happen, and people who are here without the right to be here don't do bad things, and they do. Not all of them, but some of them do uniquely horrible things. And so it's important for that reason to sort of counteract the narrative that's often a lie and that's out there in society. So I'm not pretending as though that factor doesn't matter, but I think it's easier to argue with someone who might be irate at the idea that you don't think something bad happened in that story. And I think most people in Texas would believe that the right thing occurred, that the person who was defending their property and their family took action that potentially saved the lives of his family members. Who knows what happens if the car is taken away? Maybe another car accident happens. Maybe you're not deliberately hurting people inside the vehicle. Maybe you're doing it without the intention to hurt people. But you drive off, you crash, and a baby dies. That's obviously a thing that would make a lot of people, I think differently about defending any portion of that story. But I just couldn't get over that so often people use these things as political maneuvering discussion points rather than just actual things that happen in our society. All right, I want to play one last thing, and then I'll take a break. I thought this was pretty interesting. This was Jesse Waters crapping all over the 3 marriages of Ilhan Omar. He makes a comment, and then he moves on from the comment about people who get married 3+ times and what it says about them, not necessarily the people that are no longer in the relationship with the person. I don't know if any of them are her brother. She's alleged to have also married to get citizenship into this country, something that a lot of people, including myself, believe did happen. But here's a little bit of Jesse Waters making some jokes about Ilhan Omar and how odd it is that financially she was worth $3 million for a short time, and on the bookends of being worth $3 million, she's only worth $50,000. That's weird. That's weird to go from $50,000 to $3 million back to $50,000 based on who's in the White House. But here we go.
To the governor, essentially, giving up the goat earlier than planned. So
Giving up the goat?
Is that an expression?
I don't know, but you just coined it.
It's really giving up the ghost, but we'll allow it.
Because they eat goats? Yes. Are you saying Somalians eat goats? Wow.
Jesse, when does this
Terrible
finally touch
person.
her?
Of all the people on the table, she says the most offensive thing.
Give up the goat.
All right.
You thought it, not me.
So Omar's been married 3 times. What do you say about a woman that's been married 3 times? I'll tell you later.
Nothing nice.
Also, we don't even know if those 3 marriages includes the one to her brother. So there's that. She's obviously delightful. How do you go from being worth $50,000 to $3 million back to $50,000?
You don't.
I guess that's what they mean when they say math's racist.
I kind of like that joke too. You don't. That's not a thing you can do. You can't get out of the winery business after getting into the winery business and have your net worth be all over the place, especially when the state you're from, and it just so happens that you are Somalian and the people in your state who are in trouble for fraud are Somalian. So you're from the community and the place where people are getting in a lot of issues and a lot of problems, and you think it might be very important to all of a sudden change your net worth profoundly. That makes a lot of people confused and scratch their heads. All right, we have a lot to get to, as I said today, a lot of other stuff to talk about. I want to play some audio of Tom Homan and something that he's promising to do and a reaction that people have to that, because of course they do. But all that and more coming up in a bit. It's the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas.
If you have roof problems, you can sure see them when it rains. This is Deb Tejada from Tejas Roofing. If you see a leak, call me immediately, 281-251-0304. I'll send over the Tejas Roof Repair truck.
That truck has everything our experienced crew needs to fix your roof, right then and there.
The Tejas Roofing crew has been working together fixing leaky roofs for 15 years.
It's not a pretty truck, but it has everything we need to get the job done. I kind of like the way it looks.
Most roofing repairs cost less than $500. Why? Because we find the cause of the leak and repair that leak. We won't try to sell you services you don't need.
And we'll fix it right away because everything we need is in our truck.
Don't put off fixing a leaky roof. Call me at Tejas Roofing and I'll send over the truck. 281-251-0304. When you think of roofing repairs or a new roof, think Tejas Roofing, your Houston roofing company. 281-251-0304. That's Tejas Roofing, 281-251-0304.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-909-9696. 800-909-9696.
A breast cancer diagnosis can turn your world upside down. But your Houston Methodist team assures you they'll use the latest cancer research and technologies, collaborating to treat and remove the tumor and reconstruct your breasts, restoring symmetry, sensation, and your sense of self. That's the difference between practicing medicine and leading it for you. Houston Methodist, leading medicine.
Plumbing emergencies never happen at a convenient time. Usually they happen on the weekends, holidays, or while you're away on vacation. I'm Richard Sod, president of Nick's Plumbing. When you find yourself facing a plumbing emergency, call the licensed and experienced professionals at Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services. Nick's Plumbing has been Houston's first choice for all your plumbing needs since 1979. Our experts can take your most difficult plumbing issues and fix them fast, fix them right, and usually for less than you'd expect. Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services is the right choice for any plumbing job, from a leaky faucet, whole house repipe, or a complete sewer line replacement. You can count on Nick's Plumbing to do the job right. With over 40 years in business and over 150,000 satisfied customers, Nick's wants to be your plumbing company. Nick's Plumbing offers free estimates and free second opinions. Call Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services, 713-868-9907, or visit us on the web, nicksplumbing.com.
MPL 38548.
Call Nick's Plumbing today. We're on the way.
Tom, there is a news story that really has come down in just the last couple of moments. A moment ago, you brought up sanctuary cities, okay? USA Today is reporting that ICE officers will be headed to over 40 states. What can you tell me about that story?
Well, I think what they're talking about is the deployment of our new assets, the new hires, and where they're being assigned. And I can tell you that my opinion, and what I'm talking to Mark Wayne Mullen about, is the vast majority of agents need to go to sanctuary cities. And why is that? Because we go to Florida, every sheriff, every chief's working with us. They honor detainers. We've got less of a problem in states like that, Florida and Texas. However, in states that want to lock us out of the jails, that refuse sheriffs and chiefs to work with us in any capacity, that's what we know is a problem, because we know they're releasing public safety threats, illegal aliens to the streets every day. So we really got to concentrate on sanctuary cities, because that's where the biggest public safety threat is.
Yeah, we got to go to the places where people don't want us, essentially, because they're not enforcing the laws and the rules that they should be enforcing in those places. And we really need them to do that. And the best way to do that is to be there. There's another version of this way of thinking. By the way, the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas. Thrilled to be with you today. I'm on again tomorrow, of course, Monday through Friday from 6 to 7 o'clock. I am also doing the Dana Show, the nationally syndicated Dana Lash radio show, tomorrow and Monday. So if you happen to tune into that show, I recommend you do it online and not any sort of other radio station way here in town, because we want you to listen to KSEV if you're listening to the radio. But if you want, you can listen to that online. You can even actually listen to it on demand as a podcast. The Dana Show, she's everywhere. I think she has like 10 million weekly viewers or weekly listeners. It's something like that. It's like something obscene. I looked at it once and I was like, this is insanity. And Dana, incredibly successful human being. So thrilled to sit in on that show. I'll stop mentioning it now. But if you want, you can hear me for 4 hours tomorrow. All right, let's play this. This is AOC saying a crazy thing. Before the break, I mentioned in a different story how people weaponize and manipulate certain aspects of discussions or news, things that are out there for political gain. And this is exactly that. This is AOC not only pretending that something she's saying is true when it's not, but doing it to kiss up to a specific set of minority voters that she thinks need to be supporting her and her side of the political aisle. So they say crazy stuff like this, hoping that it somehow inspires people who I guess don't care about, truth and logic, to go ahead and say, well, I like her better than the other side because she says this stuff. Here we go.
Truly what America is all about, I think about the civil rights and voting rights movement and how Black Americans really created democracy in this country.
Right. That's exactly right.
How they literally made something from nothing. It is just beyond me. I think about how, Native people have survived.
Oh yeah, I'm already done. No. AOC, please stop. I'm already done. There's something amazing about this, and here's what I'll tell you is incredible about it. Depending on when you choose to focus on historically, like what time period you choose to focus on, you can find a victim and an aggressor. You can point to the victim as someone that you admire and the aggressor as someone that you hate. Any time. I mean, go back into the Bible, and you can find a ton of examples of where the Jewish people are treated so horribly and terribly. And you could say that you admire, and I'm not saying that this is a bad thing necessarily, but the thing that becomes a problem is how often the politicians choose one very specific moment in time and one group that they say they need to highlight as creating democracy, which is insane. That's an insane thought and an insane way to go about that. And here's what I actually think is happening when these discussion points occur and when people say this stuff the way that they do. I think that it's twofold. I think that, one, someone like an AOC wakes up and tells herself, I need to go out there into the world. I need to have a political conversation in which I highlight and say great things about this group of people that I think vote for me. And I need to make sure to basically say, while I'm saying nice things about the people I think that support me, that there's a bunch of other people who are horrible and terrible. And of course, there's other people who don't support me. So it's a twofold. There's a twofer there that I think is obvious. She's trying to say something positive and also something negative. But the other thing is just stupidity. I think there's a lot of people who don't know our history well enough or don't care to know it well enough that they actually believe some of these things they say are true. Now, it's hard for me to believe that with an AOC because part of you wants to think that there's no way that she could possibly think the things she said are as accurate as she's acting like they are, like in this case, because it's so egregious. It's so insane. But then another part of me thinks about all the time these same people have said things that are just absolutely ridiculous, and they act like they're definitely true. And of course, they're telling all of us this real information and not something that's, borderline insane. And so I don't know. I'm one to believe that there is a good chance she actually doesn't know these things that she's saying. Now, I think there's another way to prove this position, this idea that politics rises above all else for politicians, that they don't actually care about any of the stories or the things they're saying. They don't care about what's right and wrong, what's historically accurate, not, et cetera, et cetera. And it's this story with Katie Porter. So this feels like it's not really a big news story in a place like Texas, But I do think that this macro lesson makes it a valuable thing to talk about at all. Katie Porter is running for governor. This is in California. She's insane for a lot of ways and a lot of reasons insane. And she's just like mean to people. She's mean to her own staff. She screams and yells and berates them. And there's tons of examples of that. She had a debate in California, which she clearly seemed to lose. And a lot of the things she said and the men that she was debating seemed to be winning on proving that she's an unhinged, incredibly insane person. And now The View is out there defending her. So I'll play two pieces of audio. One is Katie Porter and the actual thing that made her go viral. And then The View blaming men who she was debating on a stage the other night as the reason that she's unhinged. But before I do that, I just saw that we had a call pop in, so I'll go ahead and take the call. Caller, what's your name?
Bart.
Bart, and you're calling from Spring. What do you want to say, bud?
I didn't want to. We can't leave out Governor Pritzker, your old buddy there. Did you hear his statement about Trump?
I've heard several Pritzker statements about Trump. Which one are you talking about?
Oh, he was saying how the Republicans are the ones that are anti-Jew and that he's a victim of it.
Yes.
And how Trump is really to blame for the assassination attempts because he created a hostile political environment.
Insane. It's an insane thing to say. And it's something that they would be absolutely, irate at if we said it about them and something happened about them. But it's ridiculous.
I didn't know if you knew about it,
Yeah,
but I
no.
knew you'd miss your old buddy there.
Sure. Oh, I miss him so much, Bart. Well, thank you for calling in, bud.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Yes, J.B. Pritzker, who also seems to think of himself as someone that's on the short list of people who could become the next president, is oftentimes insane. Like, you can ask that person a question, or a lot of other politicians, Katie Porter among them, to get back to the topic about the California person running for the office of governor. But she's someone who actually put out an email that said F Trump at the top of it with the actual word, not just the letter. And she was asked about that on the stage and doubled down on it. She goes, yeah, I think it's a good thing. But here, I want to play this. This is Katie Porter getting mad at her own staff, seeming to be a crappy person. And then right after is The View defending her and saying it's not her fault. It's men's fault, the men she's debating and the men she's competing against to be the next governor of California. This is the exact version of, not only do I have to defend someone regardless of if they're right or wrong, I also have to attack unique groups because I think it might be politically popular to do it. But here we go.
Get out of my shot. Okay. You also were in my shot before that. Stay out of my shot.
Get out of my
tell
shot.
Your own kids if they ever faced a boss like that. You have 60 seconds.
Yeah, you have 60
I
seconds.
apologized that day to that staffer 4 years ago. And I took responsibility then, and I have taken responsibility since, acknowledging that it was not the right way to treat someone. And that is a big contrast to what we have seen other candidates do when they have been called up.
I love this, by the way, that she's like, I apologized about that. And you keep bringing it up. You keep acting like it's something that's relevant and important to my political career, when it would absolutely be the kind of thing that you discuss ad nauseum, again, if some roles are reversed. If there's certain people in a position of power, certain political sides of the aisle are running for this office. I mean, it literally happened to a nominee that Trump put forward recently, or they said maybe his demeanor wasn't acceptable for a position that he was being nominated for, which is just insane. But again, the woman out of California, Katie Porter, is sort of upset that people are debating this, and they're asking her questions about it, and wondering if she's actually someone who has the temperament to be a politician of such a high rank in a place like California, of all places, like a pretty terrible place, mind you. And of course, it has to be, how dare you keep bringing this up? This should be dead news. It should be over, even though it's not the only version of video that's leaked where she seems to be just a crappy human being. But here, I want to play audio of how The View discussed this after a debate that Katie Porter definitely seemed to lose. I'm not cheering for any Democrat in California, but I think it's interesting the way people sometimes defend certain politicians. And maybe it's based on thinking they see themselves in the person they're defending. I don't know. You be the judge, but here, let's play this audio too.
Other Democrats.
Because a lot of people like her.
I like her.
California.
Yeah, I think a lot of people like her.
Barely made it over 9%.
We know that there's a double standard, and I've got to tell you, the bar is so very low when you look at J.D. Vance, the way he behaves, you look at Pete Hegseth, you look at Donald Trump, it trickles down from the top. We have seen the worst behavior in the Republican Party. I don't think,
terrible.
And I watched a lot of that debate, and there was terrible bickering, terrible cross-talking. Those men were disrespectful, and I think she rose above the fray, and I give her credit for it, and I thought that it was smart politically to point out what was happening.
And also, I have to say, you
Yeah.
get caught in a
All right,
moment,
let's let it
and
keep going.
everybody's
Fine.
got a camera. So I'm sorry. I have yelled at people who worked for me. I have yelled at
But
people.
I've never seen you treat someone like that.
Well, because you can't always.
Okay, see, that's a really weird moment, too, so I'm glad I left it in, where Whoopi Goldberg is basically admitting that she's also horrible to her staff. Essentially, the thing that made Ellen someone that a whole lot of people started hating after a whole lot of Democrats seemed to love her for so long. But it's not okay to treat people a certain way. It's not great. It's not a good thing when it's your own staff. Like, I think they say this about anyone that you might meet in your life, how you treat people that work for you in any capacity, whether it's a day, an hour, someone who's, opening a door for you or greeting you anywhere. How you treat them speaks more about yourself than how you treat people that you think are important. So I think there's something important there. But nonetheless, I just love that they can't debate the fact of this story or the conversation itself. They have to talk about someone else who they think is equally as bad, or in this case, they claim worse, and that somehow forgives the behavior of the person they don't really want to talk about. We're getting another call. I'll go ahead and throw them on air before I take a break. Caller, what's your name? Hello? Hello? Okay, and they hung up. They went on the air, and they hung up. I know that sometimes I get phone calls from people who don't want to be on the air. They want to be off the air, so I apologize if that's what that was. But someone else who just called in and then decided to hang up when they got on the radio. I will take a break. We'll come back in a bit. This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas.
Mattress Mac here in the Mac Z-Cliner. I'm recovering from surgery thanks in large part to this miracle chair, the Mac Z-Cliner. You can sit in it, you can recline in it, you can watch TV in it, you can eat in it, you can sleep in it. It goes to zero gravity position. The Mac Z-Cliner helped me recover. It also has heat and massage, a place to charge your cell phone. Come out to Gallery Furniture, buy a Mac Z-Cliner before your surgery. Gallery Furniture delivers tonight, or after your surgery, Gallery Furniture delivers tonight, and you'll sit and sleep great tonight.
You know, where we go in life matters, and what we do matters, and we know that taking the wrong road won't produce the best outcomes. Hi, I'm Kathy with Baker Mortgage, and we want you to take the right path when it comes to your mortgage. You know, we live in a world of information overload, but always consider the source, and these are not generally going to be from your big bank or a random offer that comes across your screen. Remember, you're always going to get a better deal on one that you go looking for than one that comes looking for you. You need to deal with somebody who gives a you-know-what, whether or not you're happy in the end. At Baker Mortgage, we do it right. We haven't been around for 68 years because we're lucky. We don't sell CDs, insurance, or anything else. We just provide a great mortgage experience. Isn't that what you're looking for? Call us at Baker Mortgage. I promise you'll be glad you did. We're at 281-313-MOVE or go directly to bakermortgage.com.
Equal housing lender. License number 263213.
Hi, I'm Tommy Mello with Garage Door Doctors. My mom recently moved into a new home with a builder-grade garage door. Noisy, flimsy, and not built to last, so we're fixing that. Mom, you're my hero. When I was growing up, she worked 3 jobs just to save our house.
And helped you build this company.
Now I'm giving her a beautiful new garage door that's built to last. The garage is 40% of your home's curb appeal. When it looks good and it works great.
Life is good. Thanks, Tommy.
From repairs to upgrades, call Garage Door Doctor today.
This is Kevin O'Hara with O'Hara & Company Real Estate. Our country's founding fathers drafted a document that is the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their powers from the consent of the governed. My friends at O'Hare & Company Real Estate, we believe we're at a precipice in time where we must take back our country. We must stand up for our freedoms or lose them forever. Please don't sit idle and let it slip away. Don't let anyone force you to do something you choose not to. As JFK said, if not us, who? If not now, when? If you're looking to buy or sell real estate, give O'Hare & Company Real Estate a call at 281-373-3393, 281-373-3393, or look us up on the web at o'harare.com. I'm Kevin O'Hara. God bless America, and God bless Texas.
I love the God bless Texas at the end there, too. This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas. I have about 10 minutes or so left in the show. So I'd like to do some palate cleansers, or as I call them, quick 4-ish topics. I've stolen it from Dana Lash, and we'll keep giving her credit for probably way too long. She does a quick 5 that's very funny, very good. So we're going to do something similar to that. Several things in the world of sillier stuff. A Delta passenger was so mad while waiting to board a plane at a gate that apparently they took over a microphone and made a gate announcement demanding customer service. This has gone viral. Because a lot of people get frustrated during air travel for all kinds of legitimate reasons. I don't know how many people wind up on a microphone talking to the entire airport, so here we go.
Hi, Delta associates that aren't paying attention. Please come to 30B. You have a customer waiting. Thank you. Please come and help the customer at 30B. Anybody on shift?
Literally nobody wants to respond. That's fine. I'll just keep broadcasting. No.
Now they're getting in trouble.
The captain just walked away from me and saying I could go somewhere else. So does anybody want to help with customer service?
So a couple things. First and foremost, this isn't actually going to get you a solve to the problem you're facing. It's going to get you a lot more trouble and not a lot of good things. And I think I can kind of hear it in the attitude of the person as they're making these announcements. They're probably not the best customer to deal with, regardless of what's going on, how, wrong the customer service is, how right the customer is, and I don't know what the actual issue was, like which side you fall in. But there are people who are crappy about this and people who are less crappy. And actually, you know what? I'll say this, because it's kind of weird. And I don't know how to, I don't know. Every so often, my wife and I will go somewhere. And it can be like literally anywhere. It can be a grocery store, a restaurant, and a young person working in that place, it's typically a young person, will treat us like crap. Just absolute crap. Like, don't say hi, don't do anything, don't acknowledge us, even if they're the person like waiting to sit you at a table. They're just rude. And I know that some people will say that certain values or certain behaviors haven't been taught to the youngest generations out there of people compared to other generations. But we don't make a scene when that stuff happens. You just sort of let it go, I guess, because I don't know that I'm actually going to succeed if I get really mad at those moments. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do. Choose your own adventure. Do whatever you want. But I just often find those moments, and then you walk out, and my favorite part is you complain with the wife. Then Betty goes, oh, that was terrible. And I'm like, yeah, that was terrible. And it's cathartic between her and I to talk about how rude somebody was. Even somewhere like the dollar store, which, yes, I shop at the Dollar Tree. I do. I'm very proud to do it, actually. We had a cashier incredibly rude to us. I'm not going to tell you what Dollar Tree, where it was in town, but it was sort of crazy that the person just ringing up the items can treat you like you're a piece of crap while you're at the store and they're the only one working. But that's sort of the society we live in now. And yes, I paid for my stuff and I left. And then, like I said, in the car, the wife and I complained. The appropriate way to do it. All right, another story I saw out there. This is actually from a Texas gas station. A guy starts his Corvette as he's getting gas, and a woman gets very mad for some reason at the Corvette, the loudness of it, whatever, and kicks some things. Does some things that she shouldn't do for whatever reason. But here we go. Let's play some of the audio of a woman getting mad at a dude at a Texas gas station.
That you understand what I said to you, sir.
I understand, ma'am.
I will call the police.
I'm calling the police.
And have them enforce the law. Do you understand?
Ma'am.
Do you understand?
Just keep my vehicle, ma'am.
Do you understand?
I don't.
My vehicle.
Do you understand? I'm
Back away from my car now.
I have tinnitus.
Back away from my car.
All right, I'll say, there's like 30 more seconds of this. She's just yelling that she has sensitive ears. She has tinnitus, and his fancy Corvette is too loud. And so for that reason, she thinks she can kick his car, attack his car, and tells him, "How dare you, sir, live in the world with your fancy vehicle that you purchased legally and drive it around legally and do something that hurts my ears."
You have to certify that you understand me. Do you understand me?
Okay, I got to stop it right there. That's my favorite part of the audio. You have to certify that you understand me. Who even talks like that? Who even gets into an argument in public somewhere, I guess where she's this mad at the gas station stuff and the loudness of the vehicle, that she then demands that you certify that the things I've said to you have been received by you and that you understand. So when I call the police, I guess that's what I start with, that he certified that I was complaining because my hearing is bad or I have sensitive ears and his car was messing with me. I don't know. And this is not a set of young people. These are people that should know better, I guess is another way you could say it. But I just find it so amazing the amount of people who walk around so in their own world now or so obsessed with themselves, arrogant is a way to say it, that anything happening to them is the most important thing happening in the world, and anything happening around them that's not to them doesn't matter at all. They can ignore everything else going on, everyone else, and treat everybody else like they're a pile of crap because the only thing that matters is them. And I think social media is probably to blame for a lot of this change in our society for people to feel this way. It's not a great thing, but yet it is what it is. All right, another thing out there I saw that I thought was interesting. This is a debate on a term that was used during a baseball game. Pete Fairbanks from the Miami Marlins explains the term dry humping in the world of baseball. So I want to say that going in. This audio went very viral for reasons that I probably don't need to explain.
The dry hump is when, as a reliever, they call down. You start warming up. Obviously, there's degrees of it. The worst dry humps are the ones to which you then have to fire it off and be as warm as you would be to go in a game with no guarantee that you go in a game. And if you then say your team does not score the run, you sit back down and you have been dry humped. Well, one dry hump usually is okay. 2 dry humps does not feel very good. I think in my career I've been dry humped 3 times once, and I felt like I couldn't move my arm for about 8 hours.
Whenever you hear audio like this, you assume first and foremost that the people that are saying the thing they're saying are in on the joke that they're making, but they're trying to do it in a way that demonstrates they're not in on the joke because it is a real term. And it's a thing that pitchers don't want to have happen to them. They don't want to be incapable of warming up correctly and then sitting on the bench again cold after going into a game basically cold. These are all things they don't want. I just thought it was so interesting that goes viral. Not because it's surprising to me, of course. These are the kind of things that people talk about. But you know what I really love about that topic? Is somebody somewhere, and it's not me saying this, will claim that this will get more eyeballs on baseball. They'll be like, well, now that that's gone viral and people have debated a term, probably more young kids will watch the sport. And that's not true. Not at all, actually, in fact. It's the exact opposite of that, I believe, sometimes, if it's anything at all. But I do think that's funny that somebody will say that there's a fringe benefit of a Major League Baseball pitcher going viral for explaining a term that a lot of people want to laugh at for a very different reason. All right, a couple other things before we get out here, some quicker things. They're not audio related. But I did think this was interesting. Someone on Reddit recently asked a question. What societal norm did you decide to stop abiding by? Reddit has a lot of these Ask Reddit things where people just throw up a question and then some people give crazy answers. Often the crazy answers go viral. I don't know if people legitimately mean this stuff when they say it or if they don't. But here are some of the answers that people gave to that question. I no longer eat 3 meals a day at standard times. Now I just eat when I'm actually hungry without calling it a specific name. This one a lot of people liked. They said, yeah, you should eat when you're hungry, eat the right amount of food to not be hungry anymore without overfilling yourself, and then keep living your life. I remember when people would ask you or me or my family when we would eat dinner late, why we're eating dinner so late. Like if it was 8, 9 o'clock at night and you're sitting down for the 3rd meal of the day, people ask you certain questions. And this person is saying, how dare you leave me alone? Let me do things however I want. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with deciding that I eat when I'm hungry and I don't eat when I'm not hungry, and I live that life and I roll those dice. And actually, I love this for one other reason. I'm not a breakfast person. I don't really like to eat breakfast. My wife, however, from Mexico, big family, sees breakfast as communal. It's not just the food, it's the company. And so oftentimes she's like, you got to eat breakfast. You got to sit down with me and have it. And I've had to try as hard as I can to train myself to do something I don't want to do at all. Because otherwise, she's sad that she's not getting the same community feeling she gets when she's at home and her whole family sits down for a big giant breakfast in the morning. There are exceptions to this rule, but by and large, I think go your own road. If the missus is getting sad, though, go ahead and force yourself to have breakfast at a time you don't want it. Occasionally, as much as you can. All right, one last quick one, and then we're out of here. The show is over already. Someone on Reddit recently, I just did that one. I don't know why I was going to do that one again. Women are debating, are men who play video games a turn off or a turn on? I love this story. I love this story for two reasons. The first being is that I do, in fact, like video games. The second being that I haven't played a video game outside of one on my phone. Like, I still play the occasional phone, I guess you call it, video game. But I haven't played a video game with an actual system for many years because my wife also falls into that group of people that doesn't exactly like it to watch you sitting around, shirt off, doing whatever you want to do for several hours of your day, acting like someone who, just needs to sit around and play video games to be happy. And I get both sides of this debate. And I think the big problem is, and I like this, that if you don't play them yourself, you don't know how they can be fun. You don't know how they can be entertaining. You see it as an utter waste of time, which it mostly is, but not entirely. I would defend some level of it as being relaxing and fun, and for that reason, somewhat worthwhile. But nonetheless, I do love the idea that there's a bunch of dudes out there getting mad that somebody doesn't find them attractive anymore, doesn't like them because they're too much of a gamer. Because I do think it's a push-pull, man. I do think at some extent you have to accept the idea that maybe you're going to have to put the controller down and do something not video game-esque to attract more ladies. And I think that's totally fine. And it's up to you if you actually do it or not. All right, that's it. That's the whole show. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thrilled to be here as always. The Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas.
You're listening to the Voice of Texas, AM 700 KSEV Tomball and AM 1540 KGBC Galveston.
News this hour from Town Hall.